Okay. Hi everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining the meeting today. I am Priya Pisina, a rep for DCU Global, and we'll be taking you through just registration and answering some frequently answered questions. Today, I'm joined by Frank, who is my colleague, and Darren from our registry team, who will be taking the presentation today. Just before I pass it off to Darren, just a few house rules. Please keep your mics muted throughout the presentation and keep your questions till the end of the presentation. Again, please try to keep your questions as general as possible. We will not be able to go into specifics with individual cases. If you have specific questions, we will drop an email in the chat that you can send those specific questions to. So please try to keep your questions focused on registration and keep them as general as possible. I'll pass you off now to Darren. Thank you so much.
Thanks, and good morning, everybody. Hope you're all well. I'm just going to share my screen here, and we'll get going with the presentation. Okay, so my name is Darren Myler, and I am the registration manager here in DCU. So you're very welcome, and welcome to DCU. And I'm just going to bring you through a couple of steps around what to expect over the next little while on how you onboard and how you register. So I'll just go back up on there. So there's a few steps here. So there's onboarding, there's registration, there's obviously fee payment, and then after registration, the services that registry would provide all students in the university. So if we take point one, which is onboarding. So what do we mean by onboarding? So onboarding is where every student is allocated a unique email address and password that is used to log into your DCU email and DCU systems and to register for your program. So you'll have your DCU number, your application number. So I'd presume most of you have come through the CRM portal, so you'll have that number already to hand. And what happens is that there's an email sent to your personal email account, inviting you to onboard. That's where you'll set up your password. And that triggers all of the access to your DCU systems, your DCU email, and then for your systems such as Loop, where a lot of learning materials and stuff are handled. So that's the first email you'll get from DCU on the kind of the steps for registration. So it's that onboarding email that will allow you to set up your password. Okay, so once you've done that, immediately afterwards, you'll receive a second email that will ask you to actually move on to registration. So once you've onboarded correctly, you proceed to registration. There's something called AIP tasks that you need to complete. And so these tasks are just steps through the registration process where you'll be confirming your address. You may need to add a next of kin details for an emergency contact. You'll have to confirm your telephone number, all of those kind of biographical information steps that we'll need to have on record for you. Then obviously there's a part where you'll need to select your modules, where you'll step through each term. So there's term one and term two. So you'll step through term one first, which is semester one, and select your modules, and then you'll step through term two, which is semester two, and select your modules then again. And once you've completed that, you can move on to pay fees if that's a step that you need to take. So there's videos that we have on YouTube that will help you, I suppose, visualize the steps and the process. They're linked here, and I know that these slides will be shared with you after this presentation. So if you click on the link there, all of the steps of working through the registration are there. So it's really, really good guide. So I'd recommend that you watch that before you start onboarding or registering, just so you're familiar with the process and what's going to be expected, because some of it is slightly complicated. And it's a really good start for you to watch those videos first. Okay, so that's the steps for registration. On to fees. So this is another part of the AIP tasks that we just talked about. Once you select your modules and confirm them, the next one of the final steps is just to pay your fees. So fee payment is the last task in your registration journey. So for different students, there may be different payments that you can make. They can split over 60/40. So 60% is paid at registration and 40 is paid in January for some students. Some other students may have to pay in full upfront. But there's links there to the FAQs on the fee page. And then there's the fees email address if you have any fee queries. If you email them directly there, fees@dcu.ie, they'll be able to help you with your query. So they're the fee steps, another part of the AIP tasks that happen during registration. Okay, so you've landed in Dublin and you're here. You've paid your fees and you've registered. So you're looking for an ID card. Excuse me. So once you've fully completed your registration, you can call into the registry here on campus, and we can take your photograph and print a card. For some students who may not be on campus, but I think most of you guys are, you can request it online. And there is a part of the AIP tasks that you can upload your photo whilst you're registering. You don't need to do it. If you're going to be on campus, you can just come to campus and we'll take your photograph and print your card. So your card will get you into the library, and you may need access to specific labs and to specific classrooms and computer labs and stuff like that. So you may need your card from your first day. One of the things you will need is proof of ID. Now, I'd imagine because you're all international, you'll have a current valid passport. So that's the ID you should bring with you physically onto campus while you're getting your ID card. So for the month of September, you'll see us out on the outside of the registry office. We're located in the Henry Grattan building. We will have 5 card printers outside to print cards for new students. So for the first week of September, you can come at any time. And then from the 3rd and 4th weeks in September, you can come at any time. The 2nd week in September is for undergraduate students mainly, but if there's space, we'll try and fit you in. So for the whole month of September, we'll be outside printing cards. But even after that, if you come to the registry, we'll be able to print you a card. If you lose a card or whatever, we can replace it for you. So that's how you get your DCU student card. And then some of the services that we provide. So if you're looking for a registration letter, proof that you're a student, you'd come to us here in the registry in the Henry Grattan building. You can request the letter online, but you must be registered before we can issue you a card. So if you can't ask for a letter before you're registered, so please make sure you've fully completed your registration before you request the letter, or you can just drop into us here in the registry and we can check your registration and then print a letter for you. There may be forms that you need to have stamped as well. We can do that here. Again, you need to just be fully registered. So there's some of the services that we would provide students in those early days, I suppose, when you start on campus and you've just registered. And I think that's it. So that's kind of a whistle-stop tour of what registry will provide. So it's that first bit of onboarding when you set up your email, that moves you onto registration. So like we said, you'll walk through your confirming your details, your phone number, your next of kin. You'll select your modules, you'll confirm your modules, then you'll pay your fees. And when you get on campus, then we can print your card. And then as well, we can obviously, if you need a letter or a form stamped, we can provide that as well. So that's probably your first interaction with some of the central services after DCU Global hand you over to us. So they're the bits and pieces that we can offer you and we can help you with. So I'll stop there and I'll stop sharing. So if there's any questions.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Darren.
No problem.
And there's a couple of questions around the same sort of things in the chat, just about when exactly they might receive the registration email and then how much time they'll have to complete it once they get the email.
Great. Okay. So we're hoping that and I'm just assuming that we're speaking mostly to postgrad students year 1 who come across. So we're looking at possibly the week beginning the 26th of August, sorry. So September, oh my God, that's a bit late. So a couple of weeks, I'd imagine, in 2 weeks, you'll probably get something from us. So that's the day. We don't have a specific date, but that week it should be that week at some stage. And the closing date then to have that all done by is the 20th of September. So there's almost a month there for students to be able to navigate the system. Now, obviously, classes will start on the 9th of September. And if students aren't registered by then, they may not be included, obviously, in class lists. They may not have access to their modules on Loop, which is the learning resource. So it's quite important that students would have completed their registration by the 9th of September when classes start, because it's just a lot easier for them then to look up timetables and stuff like that. So
Great, thanks so much. I'm just seeing if there's a lot of questions just around that same sort of thing, just about time periods. And then if there's any first year undergrad students, is the date the same, or is the
So undergrad first year is for international. Yeah, actually it will be. They're all in the same bunch, Frank.
great,
They'll get an email. That first onboarding email will go to their personal email address, and then it'll move them across into the system. Set up your password. You'll get access to your DCU account, then their DCU email through that, and that's how it all kind of cascades into being able to register as well.
great. And then someone's just asking about, do they have to collect the letter they request online? Do they come into the registry office to collect that?
They can if they want, or we can post it or email it. There's no problem there. We can do a fair few things there. So they can apply for it online. If they apply for it online, usually we just email it or post it. Or if you drop into the office, obviously we can just print you a physical copy.
Great. Um, and then there's a question, is that only for September intake students? I'm assuming there might be a January student that's
January
already
intake for
will
any
be
student,
completed. Yeah,
anytime, any student, whatever you need. We'll be, if you're a registered student, we can give you a letter anytime saying you're a registered student.
but in terms of registration for January students, that will all start
Oh,
coming
sorry,
into
for
December,
general,
will it?
yeah, for registration, January registration will be the second week of January.
Okay,
So
perfect.
the students will get some information. I suppose that onboarding will happen exactly then as well during that second week in January, and the process is exactly the same.
Perfect. Okay. There's another one just then around is registration complete even if they consider to pay the 40% in January? I suppose it is, isn't it?
Registration is, we'd consider registration complete once they've confirmed their modules, and if they've paid the 60%, it's not fully complete until they pay all their fees, but as long as they've registered on modules and paid something, then they're considered a registered student.
Okay, perfect. And then someone's just asking about the links. So we'll share the slides after this with everyone that's registered. So you'll get all the links through that.
Yeah, yeah, and the videos, like I said, the videos are really good to help students. Just those, because our systems are new to us as well. We've got a new student system in, so the videos have been helpful even to staff to be able to understand how the students navigate and walk through all those steps that need to happen while they're registering.
There's just a couple of questions. I don't know if you know the answer to this, Darren, about the last day of joining. So if people are kind of still waiting on visas, they might be a week or 2 weeks late. Is there kind of a last final date? Is that 20th of September?
The 20th of September is the last day a student can register themselves online. After that, it does get into the realm of having to speak to the program chair, and in case students have missed too much time, because obviously the semesters are 10 or 11 weeks, and if you're missing the first 2 or 3 weeks, that's a fair amount of teaching that the students have missed. So the 20th of September, I suppose, is when the technology shuts off, but perhaps not when students can still register after that date, but there's a conversation that it needs to happen around
Yeah.
whether they should or not academically do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I just want to add with that as well, because someone was asking if they can register without their visa. I would say you should just wait till you've gotten your visa before registering. As Darren said, if it is beyond 2 weeks after resumption date, you need to speak with your program chair. They would be the best people to tell you if you can still resume. So yeah, just hold off, wait till you've received your visa before completing the registration online.
Okay.
I think somebody was asking about leave cards being printed on campus. I think they've stopped doing that now. So I think once you get your student card, you can apply for them online and you can do that separately, and they normally can post it out to you. There's a lot of questions just around the January start. So Darren,
Okay.
so it'll be the second week in January for registration, and for the class date start, that just hasn't been confirmed yet. So just keep an eye out on your emails. That probably will be confirmed as soon
So
as possible.
I'd say the class dates are either the 13th or the 20th.
Okay, perfect.
But it'll be on, I just don't have the academic calendar in front of me, but I'd imagine
Yeah.
it's either one of those Mondays. Yeah.
And someone's asked, did they select the module still through when they're registering, don't they?
Yeah, they'll
Yeah.
still select their modules. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think someone's asking if they can change their modules after. I think for changing your modules, you probably should have to talk to your program chair as well, isn't it?
So for some students who are registering now in August, they'll have up to the 20th to go in and out. So even when you select your modules, you'll have that time up to the 20th. So if you register on the 26th of August, you have until the 20th of September to go back in and change the modules. As long as they're not core, the optional modules are the only ones you should change. And that'll be for semester one and semester two and year-long modules. And then in January, there's also another window where you could change your optional semester two modules. So that'll be just before the first week of classes in semester two, you'll be able to go back in and change semester two optional modules then again. So there's a couple of opportunities to change modules during the year.
Perfect. Thanks so much. So someone's just there's just a lot of repeated questions. So just about waiting for your visa for registration. So Priya's advice is the best thing is to wait for your visa to ensure that you get it before you register. And the process for the student card in brief, someone was just asking about that, if they could repeat that
Student
process.
cards? Yeah. So basically, once you're registered, if you come to the Henry Grattan building at all during September, you'll notice that there's a line of ID card machines outside. And once you have your student number with you and proof of identification, like your passport, and you're registered, we can print an ID card for you then. So, and that'll be the quickest way to do it because we obviously have 5 machines working. After that, if you haven't got your card, then maybe it's later on in the year, you can come back into the registry at any time and we can print a card for you.
So the timetables, someone's asking about, do they receive lecture timetables after registration? I think that might be slightly later, will it be?
Yeah, so timetables, we don't look after timetables, they're faculty based, but I know that timetables come out quite late because they're waiting to see the registration numbers for each module and how that kind of it's kind of interlinked with registration for sure, but it is something that the students I think can look up themselves, but it's faculty based, so I can't really speak too much about it, but I know they come out quite late. I wouldn't be expecting anyone to have a timetable really now for something that's going to happen in September. It'll be quite late, right up to week one of term.
Perfect. And then there's around class timings. It's very hard to put a general kind of swing on what your class timings would be like because they vary so much from course to course, from
sure.
faculty to faculty. So
yeah, you're right,
I'd say
Frank,
just wait until your timetable comes out and you'll get an idea. It's kind of hard if we say one thing, it could be very different. So it's hard to kind of give a exact general. And then someone's just asking about trying to find the program chair's details. So on each of the course pages, the program chair's email is there. I know if you were looking at a PDF, it might be an old PDF, but the best way to find it is just go to the program page for the course that you're going to study, and then you'll be able to find their contact details there, and you can reach out to them. Is there any other questions that have stood out to you? I think we've kind of covered off most questions that have been asked.
Yeah, that's what I'm just looking through. I think most of them seem very similar, but it seems I'm just going through now. It seems the same.
Again, there's just repeated questions on So classes start will be 9th of September. Registration start date will be 26th of August. Orientation will be, most things will be in that week before the 9th of September.
So I'll
Or
just caveat the registration date. It will be around the 26th of August.
okay,
On the 26th. Just
All right.
it'll be sometime. We're hoping that sometime during that week, because we have that new system, Frank, we're
Yeah.
still reluctant to give a definite date. So if it's not the 26th, you don't have to worry. We haven't forgotten about you. It's just that we're
Okay.
having some system problems probably.
Perfect. That sounds good.
Okay.
I think we have I think we've covered off most things, so we can probably wrap things up there unless there's anything, Priya, that you can see.
Yeah, just to reiterate, yeah, all those letters that someone that is asking how to request those letters. Yeah, you can request those letters once you have registered with the registry team,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to provide those letters. There's a link in the presentation that we'll share with you that you can use to get that. But yeah, I think this should be where we could end it. Thank you so much, Darren, for taking us through. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. The recordings will be shared with you. So, yeah, you can go through it, and you'd also have the presentation as well to be able to go through the links as well. And if you have any more specific questions, there's an email that Frank put in the chat a while back. Just send an email to DCU Global Recruitment at dcu.ie, and we'll get back to you. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you.